Meet the Ambassador, a program that highlights a friendly chat with the ambassador's impression on the kingdom. Meet the Ambassador with Dr. Taghreed Al-Sarraj and Bender Asiri. Stay tuned on SRFM.
Each episode, we will informally talk with different ambassadors from around the world in Saudi Arabia. The purpose of the talk is to shed light on the ambassadors themselves living in Saudi and talk about any similarities and differences between our cultures. So our main focus will be on languages, culture, and a bit of storytelling. So stay tuned for Meet the Ambassadors on Saudi Radio. I want you to listen to this clip of music coming up next. So try to guess which country is our guest ambassador from. I hope you had a chance to listen to the music and guess which country our guest is from. On today's episode, we have the Austrian ambassador to Saudi Arabia, His Excellency Georg is with us on the line. Hello, Ambassador. How are you doing today?
A very good evening to you, and thank you very much for inviting me, Doctora. I'm very fine, and I'm already interested in what we are talking about over the next minutes.
Well, it's our pleasure to have you on the show. This show focuses on language and culture, and we want to kick it off with a conversation today with the question of how many languages do you speak, Mr. Ambassador?
Oh, so now I have to count.
That much? Well, that's good.
Well, actually, the language I really speak well is my mother tongue, German.
Uh-huh.
But of course, I'm fluent in French, in English, in Italian, and I have a good conversational level in Japanese, which was one of my previous postings.
Mm-hmm.
And I can talk in Arabic also, but I think I should have more focus on it because it's a beautiful language.
Mm-hmm.
But at least, I can follow Arabic. That's fine.
Oh, wow. So you have about 6 languages.
Yeah, if you count all together, yes.
Yes, I'm very envious. Only have 3 languages, but none the case. German is a really beautiful language, and hopefully one of these days I get around to learn it. But so you can get a lot of practice in Saudi on Arabic, so that would be great. I want to ask you, how long have you been in Saudi? And I know you've been posted here twice, so tell us.
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly. So I have a history in the kingdom. Actually, as an ambassador, I have been here since 2.5 years, but I spent also in total 6 years as a deputy ambassador. That was the period from 2009 to 2014. So in total, I'm in my 9th year in the kingdom, and to be honest with you, I have never regretted it because it's one of the most fascinating countries I've ever been posted to.
Wow! So going back and looking at when you first came to Saudi, what was your expectation or impression of Saudi when you were told that you're going to be relocated to Saudi?
Yes, this is. I have to go back to the fact that I always was interested in Arab countries since my childhood, actually, for several reasons. And I traveled to different Arab countries since many years. But Saudi Arabia somehow was a blank spot on my map, and it was not easy to travel into Saudi. You know how it was in the past.
Yes.
And then I joined the Foreign Service, and I always had an eye on a posting in Riyadh. So I was posted at that time in Tokyo, in Japan, and I got a phone call, and they said, "Well, we know that you always would like to go to Riyadh." And I said, yes. So then said, okay, so the position is open, go for it. And I did, and I came here. So this was actually somehow, how should I say, a kind of wish which came true. And as I said before, I never regretted it, and I'm very happy to be back here a second time.
So that's great. I love that. Your wish was was coming to Saudi, and you got it fulfilled. Yes. So when you first came to Saudi, how was it similar? Was it your expectation? Was it met? A lot of people say that we read books, but when we came, we didn't see what we read books on. And usually, it doesn't give the true expectations from books from really experiencing the culture and the country.
Well, I think you always have to make your own experience, because books can tell you a lot, but books cannot make you feel how a country is, right?
Yes.
So this is, of course, you read books, you prepare yourself before you go for a posting. But then once you're here, you realize also in comparison to other Arab countries that it is different here. Mm. And I want to start with a common denominator, if I may say so, in between the first and my second time here. What is absolutely stunning is people in the country. Mm. I have never met so warm-hearted, open people like here in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. Also in the past, when I was here for the first time. Now, the other day I talked to a friend of mine who is a minister, and he asked me also, so when exactly were you here? And I told him, well, it was from 2009 to 2014. So then he said, oh, that was back in the times of the dark ages. Mm. So I said, well, it was not that dark, actually.
And it wasn't that far a long time ago. But you see how fast we've been moving forward?
Oh, my goodness, yes. Of course. So when I came back, of course, I know Riyadh like my pocket. Mm. But I had the feeling of being in a theater play, in a wrong theater play, because I knew everything, and yet society changed.
Yes.
Society changed, the possibilities changed, there's a completely different dynamics now in the country. Besides the fact that there's entertainment, you have a series of fantastic restaurants. Women are visibly participating in society. This is really a different picture of what I was used to during my first period here.
Yeah, so you've experienced it firsthand. We're happy that we gave you that chance. So let's go for a quick break, and we'll be back. We'll continue our talk with our guest ambassador after this. You're listening to SRFM, Meet the Ambassadors program with Dr. Taghreed Al-Sarraj. We are continuing our talk about culture and languages with our guest ambassador, His Excellency Georg Burstinger from Austria. Welcome back, Ambassador.
Yes.
Yes. Ambassador, we were talking about the changes that's happening before the break, and I'm sure that you're busy with your work, but you must have gotten a chance to travel around Saudi from your first post and to now and explore its different parts. What were the places that you went to?
Well, this is also a long list of places because especially when I came here for the first time, I was so curious to see the country and to get in touch with the people. And basically, in a nutshell, I saw most of the country several times. So to start with the north, with cities like Hail, Taima, Al-Jof, Arar, Al-Ula at that time also, it was not open for tourism. And it was very somehow secretive to enter also Madain Saleh, which was absolutely wonderful. Of course, we all know Jeddah, we know Taif, Abha, down to the south to Najran. And as
okay,
well
I'm so envious. You even pronounced it really well, Najran. That means it's just a sign that you know very good Arabic.
Thank you. You're very kind. No, it was extremely interesting. Not only because you could see already during my first time how rich this country is in history, and what the country has to offer, and now you can also see that it's paid attention to it.
Yes.
But also to see how different the country is in terms of its people. Whether it's in the north, it's in the south, it's in the Hijaz, it's on the Faroe Islands. I traveled there as well.
Oh.
So, but again, I come back to what I was saying earlier. There is a common denominator. These people here in the country are fantastic. Wherever you go, you are welcomed, and they're always ready to engage with you. And all generations come out of the house. It was one of my nicest experiences, actually, in Hyde. I came there, it was around lunchtime, and nobody was in the streets. And then suddenly people came out of the houses, all generations. They went from the grandfathers down to the small boy who barely could walk.
Yeah.
And they all were there, and they all were happy. And they invite you. Then you leave. You carry on with your trip. You pass by a checkpoint, and the soldiers there say, "Well, don't you have some time for a coffee?" So you go, you get off the car, you have a coffee. This is something which is, I think, in experience, absolutely unique.
Yeah, the Arabic hospitality and the Saudi hospitality, it's well known. And so we're very, very happy that you experienced it. From all these different places that you've been to, mashallah, you've been to a lot, more than me, so I'm jealous of that. But which is your favorite in Saudi?
Oh, this is a tricky question because I don't want to vex anyone. But I tell you one thing, since I come from a landlocked country, I'm always happy at the seaside. So this is something which I really like, and I'm always happy to be in Jeddah. I like the Hijaz a lot, which is beautiful, but also I think one of the most stunning places is the northwest, and of course including Al-Ula, Marin Saleh, but also north of it, which I really like, I have to say. It's a unique landscape, absolutely beautiful.
Yes. So my next question is because of that you've traveled a lot and you've been stationed in different cultures and different countries. Sometimes when people do that, they travel this much, they go through something called culture shock. So if you look back to when you first came to live and work in Saudi and opposed to now, was there any stories that you can share with us that highlights the similarities or differences between our cultures that we can learn from?
I came directly from Tokyo to Riyadh at that time, so in 2009, and I think it was, for me, it was very clear that Europe is so close to Saudi Arabia, to the region as such, in comparison to the Far East. So for me, I honestly, I have to say, I felt like at home somehow. Yes, there is different cultural habits, etc. But after all, it came, for me, I had the impression that it was very close actually to my own culture, to my own country, to Europe. And the real difference is if you go very far, very far east. I think this was one of my major impressions after I got here.
So did you go through anything, any stories that you can share with us about the culture differences?
Oh, there would be a lot. Well, cultural differences, it is between my country and Saudi Arabia. Of course, it is a different society. It is. I think it is more open here. This is what I experience. You feel comfortable, and it is a different quality of friendship. So basically, with Saudi, it is nice to sit and to enjoy the time. You don't have necessarily to talk, but you just enjoy to sit with, right? So this is something which I enjoy a lot, and I think I find it here, and I find it less in Europe, to be honest.
So is it everybody is very focused on their own thing, and here it's more of a gathering or sitting together? So it looks like that you're still experiencing the culture. So we had some funny stories going on, and it's just it's so much. It's interesting to see our culture with the new eyes or fresh eyes that highlights the differences between people that travel a lot, experience these kind of stories. So we wanted to share with our listeners if you had any stories to share. But and that's completely fine if you don't have any stories. But we're just trying to highlight on if there is any interesting stories that you might want to be able to share with us.
With regard to experiences in the kingdom?
Yeah.
Yes, I mean, a very nice experience I had. It happened in September last year, but it went back actually to my first time here. And it was in Burayda. I went there in 2011, and I traveled with a close friend of mine who is from the city, and of course we did sightseeing, etc. And as we know, there's also this famous date auction place, market.
Yes.
And we went there, and we met with people, we sat and we talked, and it was a great experience. Last September, I went back to Burayda, and again, I went to the date auctions. After this, I met again with people. I was introduced there as the Austrian ambassador. And suddenly, an old gentleman said, yeah, it was 6 years ago. There was even more. There was the deputy of the Austrian embassy here. So I said, this is me.
Yes.
He couldn't believe it because it was exactly the time. I served here for the first time in the kingdom. And everybody was so impressed, and even me, because, the gentleman had a memory which was really outstanding.
Yes.
So this makes you feel being at home. You see what I mean?
Yes. That was it's very interesting. Yes, and it was you left a good impression. I'm sure that because the guy remembered you.
I hope so.
Well, thank you, Mr. Ambassador, for being on our show. Is there anything that you want to your final words?
My final words, I want to thank you, of course, for the opportunity for this lovely talk on different issues. We usually have to talk as ambassadors, but to share with you my impressions and to be in the kingdom, and I hope that it's going to continue in this positive way for the kingdom as we witness it right now. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. It was a pleasure. You're listening to Meet the Ambassadors program on SRFM. Our guest today was His Excellency Ambassador Georg Perstinger from Austria. Thank you for listening. And until our next episode with a new guest ambassador, take care and goodbye.
Meet the Ambassador, a program that highlights a friendly chat with the ambassador's impression on the kingdom. Meet the Ambassador with Dr. Taghreed Al-Sarraj and Bender Asiri. Stay tuned on SRFM.